Hi, good evening, everybody. Tonight, we're going to look at how we can begin to locate issues, policy issues, public policy issues that we can further investigate, and ultimately, how we can develop public policy analysis and, most importantly, public policy advocacy. And so, this video will focus on those areas. I would like to just remind you and give you an opportunity. Please comment below on what other videos you'd like to see. My goal is to deliver content that helps meet the needs of my viewers and my audience. So it would be very helpful if you can comment below what kinds of future videos you'd like to see here in the area of social work, social services, social welfare, psychology, mental health, well-being, etc. Select a few topics that are of interest to you, and I'd be happy to create some videos. So start a dialogue down below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. It helps the channel to grow, and we can get these videos to folks that can utilize it, students and academics and community members and others within the frame of social welfare, social work, social service delivery, psychology, etc. So there will be in the section about the video a list of resources that you can begin to use to one, locate policy issues, and then the kingdom's model approach, three stream model approach, and then finally a framework for policy analysis and advocacy, which we'll discuss today. So let's talk a little bit about how issues or problems become those that impact our society and how we can then begin to develop policies around those issues or problems. And we may think of issues and problems as being personal things. Someone might be impoverished and have lack of resources, and that would very much impact themselves, their families, etc. Um, that may not necessarily mean that it is an opportunity or that there is a policy, legislation, a bill that will be enacted because a person is experiencing a problem. And this is part of Kingdom's three stream model, which I'll go into in a few seconds. But the area in terms of looking at the problem is when the problem becomes a problem, and Kingdon describes three streams: the problem stream, the politics stream, and the policy stream. When those converge, Kingdon says that there is a window of opportunity for policy to be enacted, bills, laws, legislation. So we need to begin with what is the problem? And what may be an individual problem may not necessarily impact everyone or many people within a society. So we have to remember that part of the advocacy work that we do as social workers, social welfare service providers, psychologists, etc., those in the helping profession, is that we champion, we create problem solutions, and we work towards identifying and helping raise individuals, the masses' voices to really shine a light on problems. So the problem itself is important. Recognizing, identifying, clarifying what is the issue, what is the problem. And when we're looking at policies, it's very important to think about research, data. Data helps drive policy. Many of you may not want to hear that, but it's very important. Research and data drives the policy. And how do we create effective policy with data? That's not the only thing, but it's very helpful in helping inform policymakers as to what may be the correct or right way of developing a policy, which translates to programs, which translates to funding, which translates to service delivery. So advocacy, our role as social workers, those in the helping profession, raising consciousness of those that are experiencing problems and issues, Very important. So the identification of the issue or problem, there's resources again that you can see down below to locate different issues and problems that have been investigated already. There may be something that you are thinking about for yourself or someone that's impacted by who you know. That may be an issue or problem. How do you then raise consciousness? How do you then raise the private, public to private, making something an issue that is important for everybody? We will talk about that in a future video. But for today, we're going to review Kingdon's three models. So we identify the problem, and Kingdon is very clear that these three streams, the problem, the politics, and the policy stream, they have to converge. There has to be what he calls a window of opportunity for all of these things to converge, for effective, robust policy to be enacted. If the policy is not enacted, it may be because those areas, those three areas of politics, of policy, of looking at and identifying the window was not there, was not opportune. Many times, private issues don't become public issues. Problems don't become something that's legislated upon because the window of opportunity simply was not there. That is very important for you to know. It takes that window of opportunity for something to happen, for legislation to happen. And we can drive those things through policy advocacy, through community organizing, community development. That also takes time. So, and in a future video, I'll talk about community organizing, by the way. So stay tuned. Please subscribe, as I mentioned. Please comment below, as I mentioned. Kingdon's model. Three areas. The problem we discussed. The problem stream marks a transition of an issue from a private problem to one the government should be involved in fixing. So this is a private issue, becomes something that we feel the government should be involved in fixing. Now, there is controversy in terms of when and how the government should be involved and to what extent. And that is often debated. That's why we have debates. That's why we have ongoing, robust conversations among ourselves as citizenry, as constituents about what is important for us, and then what becomes important for those that we've elected to represent, that are our issues, that are concerns. An issue is defined as a problem by the public when their current condition does not match the values and perception of their ideal state. Let me read this again. An issue is defined as a problem by the public when their current condition does not match the values and perceptions of their ideal state, their state of well-being. Not feeling that I have enough resources to help myself or others. This becomes an issue. This becomes a problem. My ideal state is not matching up. Okay? That is the problem stream. Politics stream. The politics stream is flowing when the political environment provides politicians with an impetus to move in a certain direction. The political stream is flowing when the political environment provides politicians with the impetus to move in a certain direction. That's from Kingdon himself. In what direction, you might ask? Could be right-leaning, could be left-leaning, could be moderate, progressive, socialist, more to the right, neoconservative. The direction is not clear, but it's the political stream flows when politicians feel an impetus to move in a direction. Politicians will shift on an issue if there's pressure. Politicians may shift on issues if there's pressure. We are probably familiar with political action committees, PACs, lobbyists. Those are influential in moving politicians to shift their opinion about issues. Data, research, very important in helping politicians shift their ideas, their direction around issues, around problems. Constituents, the individuals we serve, the clients, consumers, and patients we serve, can be an impetus for change, for politicians. Very important. The policy stream, third stream in Kingdon's model, Academics and researchers are driven by data and form public policy through that lens, through data. Academics and researchers. Kingdon describes individual policy entrepreneurs. We might use the term policy advocate, policy analyst, maybe even community organizer. Individual policy entrepreneurs are needed to build acceptance for solutions and to create coupling between the streams. So we need advocates, we need social workers, we need individuals that have a robust, clear voice in what they would like to see to push policy, to drive policy. So what do we do if we are policy analysts? How do we begin policy analysis, policy and advocacy? So Kingdon's models, again, for a review. 1, political stream, problem stream, policy stream. When those converge, we have a window of opportunity that occurs. That window of opportunity that when it occurs is very important. Very important. What is the role of the policy analyst? Policy analysis is a systematic evaluation of the technical and political implications of alternatives proposed to solve public problems. Policy analysis is a systematic evaluation of a technical and political implication of alternatives proposed to solve public problems. Policy analysts refer to both the process of assessing policies or programs and the product of that analysis. So a policy analyst is both a process and a product. New policies, alternative policies are what policy analysts, advocates drive for. A policy analyst does 3 things: uses qualitative and quantitative data, research, very important. Key, a policy analyst, advocate, without research, without data, it's not going to work. Very important if you're interested in engaging in policy analysis and advocacy that you have a framework, an understanding of research and how research works and the language of research. Very important. These are married together, research and policy advocacy and analysis. 2, use a variety of approaches to a problem. So a policy analyst does not look at a framework just in one way, but uses multiple approaches to the problem. Applies appropriate methods correctly. We don't just make a haphazard attempt. We apply methods in a robust, rational, logical, ordered way. Who does policy analysis? Who does policy analysis? We all do. As constituents, we can look at policies, read them, think about alternative policies, think about guiding policies, think about being a voice for change in policy. But a policy analyst, their role is to produce arguments for debate about public policy, 1. 2, produce evidence for discussions about public policy. 3, act as an internal organizational consultant. 4, act as external policy consultants. 5, handle both technical and people aspects of policy analysis. All policy represents the distribution of power and resources. Key. All policy represents the distribution of power and resources. These policies are an expression of values. Values and beliefs are used as shortcuts to decision making. We can use values that we feel are important to us, problems, issues that are important to us, but they are not going to drive the policymakers, politicians to action unless it is important for them, unless it's of value for them. You often see policymakers driving policy that has personal value to them. They have been affected by this problem. And so now they are championing a policy to move forward. That is the way in which we operate as policy advocates and analysts. We drive with value, we drive with data, policy change, and policy alternatives. The policy analyst has responsibilities to a client, a customer, the profession, and public interest. So we don't do just willy-nilly work as policy analysts. We have a mission and a drive, as do social service providers, social workers, psychologists, helping individuals. So I ask you, look at the resources below, find policy that really strikes at the core of what you believe in, that is important for you to make change in, and look at and investigate Kingdom's three-stream model. Find a framework that operates for you, that works for you, and go out there and make change in policy. Thanks for joining me. I hope this was helpful for you. Comment below what you would like. Subscribe. Thanks.